Hey there, Cosmic Crew. Welcome back. I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit, and this is your weekly astrological forecast for the week of June 1st, 2026. Last week had us in full Gemini mode. Lots of mental energy, ideas everywhere, probably some overanalyzing. And this week, we're shifting gears. We're going from our heads to our hearts. And the sky is basically asking you one pointed question all week. Are you being honest? And I mean really honest about what you feel and about what you need in your relationships. Not what looks good or seems reasonable, but what's actually true for you. And that's the energy. And there's one moment this week that drives that home more than any other, and that's Juno, which is the asteroid of committed partnerships, stationing retrograde on Friday. We're going to talk about that and a lot more here in just a bit. So let's get into the bigger picture for the week ahead. So first, I want to walk you through the two biggest things happening this week because they set us up for everything else. First, we have Mercury entering Cancer Monday morning at 7:55 a.m. Quick astrology lesson here. Every planet has a job. Mercury's job is communication, how you think, process information, and how you express yourself. The sign Mercury is moving through changes on how it does that job. Mercury's been in Gemini, which has a quick and analytical, it's kind of a jumping in between ideas. Now it's moving into Cancer, which is a water sign. Water signs operate through feeling and through intuition. So Mercury in Cancer means you start processing the world through your heart and your emotions a little more than you would your head. This week, you might find yourself just knowing something without being able to explain why. That's not irrational. That's just Mercury in Cancer working exactly as we would expect it to. The flip side is that Cancer is sensitive, so things might land a little harder emotionally. And heads up, Mercury squares Neptune Wednesday evening. Neptune's a planet of fog and confusion, also some mystical and some mystery. And a square on that, though, is that tense angle between two planets. So that combination can mean some murky communication Wednesday night. Hold off on those bigger conversations. But the good news, Wednesday morning, Mercury is forming a trine to the North Node in Pisces. A trine can be a harmonious angle. It's easy flowing, supportive, and energetic in that way between those 2 points. The North Node is your soul's compass. It's the direction you're meant to be growing. Think of it as your karmic destiny. Mercury in a trine to it means your emotional intuition is pointing straight at your purpose. Write down whatever comes to you Wednesday morning. Don't second guess it. And then Juno. That's really our story of this week. Juno's an asteroid. So, not a lot of astrologers will talk about the asteroids, but I think they're important, especially some of our major ones. And asteroids, they work like planets, but they're more specific in what they govern. Juno governs committed partnerships specifically, not new attraction, the long term, I've chosen this person bonds, right? Romantic partners, business partners, really close friendships. And she's been moving through Aquarius, which is our sign of authenticity, freedom, and individuality. So Juno in Aquarius has been asking, are my relationships actually honoring who I am? Do I get to be my real self with my commitments? On Friday at 3:54 p.m., these are Mountain Daylight Time, Juno stationing retrograde. Retrograde simply means a planet appears to move backwards from our view on Earth. In astrology, retrograde energy turns inward. So instead of questions playing out in your external relationships, they now live inside you. So, what have you been telling yourself? What have you been glossing over? What are you calling compromise that isn't really a compromise? It's not a blow up your life transit. It's just a look honestly at your life transit. So you've got until late July. Actually, I think this is until early September with this retrograde. So Friday is just the beginning. And here's something that I love about this, right? The sun's trining Juno Monday morning before most of us even wake up. It's warm, harmonious energy toward our relationships. So it's kicking us off right in the right way from the start. So the week's basically saying, here's what's working. Now let's take an honest look at the rest of it. Okay, so let's get into the day by day. On Monday, June 1st, We have a lot moving before any of us even open our eyes. At 4:05 in the morning, the sun in Gemini forms a trine to Juno in Aquarius. Remember, a trine is that harmonious angle, like two planets having an easy and kind of supportive conversation. The sun represents your core identity and energy. When it makes a trine to Juno, the planet of those committed partnerships, like we talked about, it's like a warm light shining in your relationships. It's already working on you when you wake up. If you feel genuine ease or appreciation for the people in your life Monday morning, that's the transit. At 7:55 a.m., Mercury enters Cancer. Feel for it throughout the day. If your conversations feel more personal, more emotional, or more meaningful than usual, that's the shift at work. The moon, which moves through a new sign roughly every 2 to 2.5 days, governs our moment to moment emotional state. And that's in Sagittarius most of the day on Monday. Sagittarius moon energy is expansive and optimistic. At 5:46 p.m., she forms a trine to Chiron in Aries. Chiron, another asteroid that we associate with the wounds and the healing process. A gentle trine to Chiron isn't intense, it's softening. Things that have felt sore around your identity or your confidence might feel a little lighter in the late afternoon. At 7:19 p.m., the moon moves into Capricorn. Capricorn is practical and serious. The tone of the evening gets more grounded and maybe a little more weighted. At 9:31 p.m., the moon in Capricorn opposes Mercury in Cancer. An opposition is when two planets sit directly across from each other as we look at them on the chart, 180 degrees apart. So full circle, right? 360 degrees, they're exact opposites. And their energies are in direct tension. So in Capricorn, practicality pulling against that Cancer emotion is what we're feeling here. So it's head versus heart. It's not a bad thing. It's just information. So notice where that tension is because the week is going to keep surfacing it for you. Our highs Monday, we have the Sun Juno trine bringing real warmth into your relationships. And then the Chiron trine in the afternoon is quietly healing for us. Our lows on Monday is that Moon Mercury opposition at night. Communication can get loaded. Things might come out sharper than you meant. So watch how you say it. The tone overall is tender and transitional. You're stepping into a new territory here. On Tuesday, June 2nd, it's a full day. The moon's in Capricorn all day, working through a lot of energy. Some supportive, some maybe a little tense. At 2:03 in the morning, the moon sextiles the north node. A sextile is a softer, supportive angle. Think of it as a gentle opportunity rather than a push. This one is a quiet nudge towards your soul path while you sleep. At 3:35 a.m., the moon squares Neptune. A square, remember, that's that tense angle between planets combined with Neptune, the planet of fog and confusion and mystery, means early morning might carry a low level unease or anxiety that's just hard to put a name to. Just breathe, it'll lift. At 7:08 a.m., Pallas in Aries sextiles Juno in Aquarius. Pallas is the asteroid of strategic wisdom, specifically pattern recognition. This sextile is like a spotlight turning on over a relationship dynamic. Something you've been circling might suddenly become very clear. Maybe a pattern becomes nameable. Pay attention to what you notice. We're 3 days out from that Juno retrograde, and your awareness is starting to sharpen. 9:12 a.m., where we hit the tension point of the day. Mars is squaring Juno. Mars is our planet of desire and drive, right? Intensity. In Taurus, it's slow, it's stubborn, and very physical about what it wants. Juno in Aquarius needs freedom and authenticity within commitment. When they square that tense 90-degree angle, you might feel the pull between what you want personally and what your relationships actually require. It's frustration, it's resistance, it's a sense of being pulled in two directions. It's not a crisis, it's a question. Just hold it. At 4:48 p.m., Sun sextile Saturn. Saturn's our planet of structure, discipline, reality checks. A sextile here is genuinely grounding and productive. If you've been putting off a practical task or necessary conversation, this afternoon is going to be your window. Moon trines Mars at 6:02 p.m. and energy picks back up. Moon squaring Saturn at 8:25 p.m., the night gets a little heavier. Self-criticism can creep in. Don't lie awake cataloging everything you've done, right? Let it go, get some rest. Our highs overall, we have our sun sextile Saturn gives real clarity and productivity in the afternoon. The moon trine Mars brings energy back in the early evening. The lows, we have Mars squaring Juno, creating a friction between our personal desire and relationship obligations. Then that moon squaring Saturn is heavy at night. The tone overall is effortful but constructive. It's a day for seeing clearly, even when what you see is a little complicated. So Wednesday, June 3rd, is the most packed day of our week, and some of the most important energy really fires before sunrise. If you wake up in the night, pay attention, because at 2:33 a.m., Ceres conjuncts Uranus and Gemini. A conjunction means two planets are sitting right next to each other, right, within a certain amount of degrees or orbs, and their energies blend and amplify. Ceres is our asteroid of nurturing, how you care for yourself and how you care for others, and actually nourishes you, the patterns of love you learned early in life. Uranus is our planet of sudden awakening and disruption, right? My little rebel. In Gemini, which rules the thinking mind, this conjunction can fire like a lightning bolt of clarity. You might wake up realizing that something you've been calling care is not meeting your real need. An old belief about how love is supposed to look might suddenly feel absolutely untrue. Let whatever surfaces come up. Right behind it at 3:45 a.m., Mercury in Cancer trines the North Node in Pisces. Your emotional intuition and your soul's direction in perfect alignment right now. If you wake in those early morning hours with a strong feeling or thought, write it down immediately. Don't analyze it first. Just capture it. This is one of the best transits of the week, and it's happening at 3:44 in the morning. So your journal, keep it handy by your nightstand, right? Make sure you got something there or a recorder or something to just ramble it off and write it down. Oh, excuse me, allergies. And then at 8:37 a.m., the moon opposes Venus in Cancer. The moon in protective Cancer or in Capricorn, Venus in Cancer. It wants closeness and connection. This opposition can feel like wanting intimacy while simultaneously keeping your walls up. Notice that gap. Wednesday evening brings the fog. Mercury squares Neptune at 6:18 p.m. Neptune clouds thinking and communication, right? This is that fog and that mystery we talked about. You might misread a text or take something the wrong way, feel confused about what you actually think. This is genuinely not the night for important conversations or those big decisions. Just rest. Save the talk for Thursday. At 9:04 p.m., the moon opposes Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It makes everything bigger. In Cancer, that means feelings expand. This opposition can bring up waves of longing for connection, for home, for something that just feels like enough. Let it come up. You don't have to fix it tonight. Then the moon goes void of course after this and stays that way for almost 11 hours. Void of course simply means she's finished making major aspects for a while. It's a kind of pause between activities before she moves on into that next sign. Our highs for Wednesday, Mercury trining the North Node in the early morning is the most spiritually alive transit for our week. So journal before dawn when those moments come to you. Our lows, we have that Mercury square Neptune in the evening, so communication could be a little murky. Hold off on anything really important in those conversations. Overall, the tone is revelatory, but a little foggy. So trust your gut. Don't trust the inner editor in yourself right now. Hi, I'm Stephanie from Immersive Spirit. I hope you're enjoying this week's Astrological Insights podcast. If you find that these dates resonate for you, or you just love astrology, I would love to book a reading with you and just explore your own chart. Whether it's a particular location you're interested in, whether it's looking at transits that are coming for you in the future and how there's certain dates that might align better than others, or maybe it's just knowing more about that beautiful space that you were born into and exactly how the stars aligned just for you at your time of birth. I would be honored to speak with you. Head to immersivespirit.com and look for our services. You'll find several options there waiting for you, and I'll be excited to talk with you and dig into your astrological chart. Now, back to our podcast. June 4th, the moon is still void as Thursday begins that drifting quality is going to continue for us. At 6:28 a.m., she squares Chiron in Aries before leaving Capricorn. So it's a brief, tender moment. Old feelings around not being enough might surface kind of early for us. Acknowledge it, move on. At 7:45 a.m., the moon enters Aquarius and the energy genuinely shifts. Aquarius is an air sign. Air signs bring perspective, mental clarity, and a little emotional distance. After days of the Capricorn moon grinding against those Cancer planets, this feels like an opening of a window in a stuffy room. Midday is genuinely good. Moon trine Uranus at 12:18 p.m. Fresh ideas, mental sparks, creative energy fly. Moon sextile Neptune at 4 p.m. Intuition flows easily. Inspiration is accessible. Then the evening gets a little heavy. At 6:21 p.m., the moon conjuncts Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. Pluto is our planet of transformation, specifically the kind of deep, slow, non-negotiable change that happens underneath everything else. Right now, Pluto's retrograde, so that transformation for us is turned inward. When the moon conjuncts Pluto, remember a conjunction means that they're sitting right on top of each other. It brings that deep transformative energy in your emotional body tonight. You might feel very clearly that something is finishing. It's an old version of yourself, a way of being in a relationship. Whatever's been slowly changing, tonight it becomes a little more undeniable for you. Pluto doesn't do drama. It just does the truth. And then at 11:43 p.m., Ceres squares the North Node. If you've been pouring your care and energy into something that isn't serving where you're growing, you may feel that mismatch clearly tonight. Our highs is that midday moon Uranus trine brings real mental energy and creative spark. Our lows, we have that moon conjunct Pluto at night is not light. Something is completing and it will be felt. The tone overall is transformative, like something is finishing up. And then Friday, June 5th. Here we go. This is the day. The moon moves through some morning Aquarius aspects. We have sextile Saturn at 8:50 a.m., grounded and purposeful. Square Mars at 9:59 a.m. It's a little restless and frictiony. Then at 1:50 p.m., the moon trines the sun in Gemini, a genuinely lovely moment of flow where your emotional state and your identity feel aligned. Take a breath and enjoy it. Because at 3:54 p.m., Juno stations retrograde in Aquarius. That is what the whole week has been building toward. Now, let me explain what a station actually is. When a planet slows, not shows, to a stop before changing direction, it stations. The stationing point is when its energy is its most concentrated and most felt. So this isn't just Juno going retrograde, it's Juno at maximum intensity before going retrograde. So you may feel something shift around this time, even if you can't quite name it. Juno going retrograde means the question she's been raising, am I free to be myself in my commitments? Are my relationships honoring my authentic self? Now turn inward. They're no longer being answered by anything happening externally for you. They're being answered by honest self-inquiry. The retrogrades runs until about the middle of September. So you have time, but the looking starts now. What are you tolerating that you've been calling compromise? What have you been ignoring because naming it felt like too much? Don't make any big decisions today. Don't have that big conversation. Just start looking at things honestly, quietly, internally for right now. That's the retrograde and what it's asking us to do. After the sun trine, the moon goes void of course and stays that way for nearly 29 hours. Cosmos is building you a very long rest after a very significant moment. So use it, take advantage of it. Our highs, we have that moon sun trine mid-afternoon, offering a brief sweet window of flow right before the station. Then the lows, kind of a low, right? Juno stationing can bring up feelings that are hard to sit with. And then that long void moon feels like suspended animation for folks. But it's a good time for a pause and rest. Tone overall is pivotal and still. It's the moment before something turns. Then Saturday, June 6th, the void moon holds through most of Saturday, and this is genuinely the energy for the day. Slow down, rest, integrate. Here's a key thing to understand about void of course moons. Things you launch or initiate during this window tend not to go as planned. The energy doesn't have traction. So this is not the day to start something new, make a big decision, or force resolution on anything. This is the day to let the week's realizations settle in your body rather than immediately turning them into action. At 5:41 p.m., just before the moon shifts, she sextiles Chiron. It's a small and tender gift, a little compassion for whatever's still sore. At 6:42 p.m., the moon enters Pisces. Pisces is our last sign of the zodiac. It's the most intuitive, most permeable, probably most spiritually oriented of them all. When the moon enters Pisces, everything softens. You're allowed to float tonight. You've done real work this week, especially the internal hard work that started for you on Friday. At 11:21 p.m., the moon squares Uranus, and it's a brief electric disruption before sleep. Write it down if something comes to you, then just let it go. Our highs, that long void moon is a legitimate cosmic rest day. And then the Chiron sextile offers some gentle healing energy. The lows, the late moon Uranus square, might make sleep slightly restless for you. But the tone overall for Saturday is restorative and a really necessary pause. It's a perfect way to spend a Saturday. Then Sunday, June 7th, Sunday closes the way that it opened. Quietly significant. At 12:18 in the morning, the moon conjuncts the North Node in Pisces. Most of us are asleep, but transits don't need your conscious attention to work. Remember that North Node is our soul's compass. It's our karmic destiny, the direction that you're meant to be growing. The moon conjuncting it in Pisces is a deep attunement for us. It's an orientation towards where you genuinely belong. Something in you is being aligned even as you sleep. The day itself is soft and warm. At 1:14 p.m., the moon trines Mercury in Cancer, and this is one of the best aspects of the week. When the moon and Mercury are in a flowing trine, your feelings and your words are on the same page. You can say what you actually mean. Things land with warmth instead of static. This is the window for the conversation you've been wanting to have. Reach out, say something true. It's going to land well. At 10:55 p.m., Ceres sextiles Neptune. It's a soft flowing aspect between nurturing and the spiritual. It's easy, compassionate energy. Your dreams tonight may be worth paying attention to. So, if you're in the habit of keeping that journal handy, it's another good night for it. 11:01 p.m., Mercury squares Vesta in Aries. Vesta is another asteroid. It's the asteroid of sacred devotion. So, what you keep the inner flame burning for is what matters most to you at the core. Mercury squaring her asks, are your words actually reflecting what you hold sacred? It's really been the theme of our week, right? Are your words actually reflecting what you hold sacred? And that's our week's closing question. So sit with it. At 11:16 p.m., the moon sextiles Mars. It's a grounded, purposeful close. The week ends with quiet and forward momentum. Our high Sunday, that moon trine Mercury Sunday afternoon, is gorgeous for meaningful conversation. Then the moon conjunct North Node overnight is deeply significant. Our lows, we have Mercury square Vesta late at night, stirs internal questioning. Journal it. Don't spiral with it. The tone overall is integrative. The week is just landing and settling down gently. It's a lot. It's a lot of soft. It's a lot of internal. It's a lot of journal work, right? So as we zoom out, the one thing I really want you to take away from all of this, the sky's not asking you to just blow anything up this week. It's not asking you to make big moves. What it's asking, especially with that Mercury in Cancer and then Juno going retrograde, is for you to be honest with yourself about how you actually feel about things right now. And it's not our edited version or the version that we are trying to be fair and equitable to everyone. Not anything that's going to explain everything away. This is just the version that tells the truth. If you were writing and saying the everything out loud that you knew no one else was ever going to see. We have Venus, Jupiter, and Mercury all in Cancer at the same time. That Cancer stellium keeps asking the same question all week long. What do you actually need? Not what do you think you need? Not what looks reasonable from the outside, but what does your heart genuinely need right now? And Juno retrograde on Friday says, whatever your honest answer is, take the next few weeks, few months to really look at it in the context of your relationships. Remember, the heart doesn't lie. You can go to our soul pillars. I'll put that information in our notes because those are free tools that you can be using to really dig into your mind, heart, body, and spirit and help you with this, right? Because sometimes it just takes writing it down, and those free tools are super helpful for that. But this is a really good way because you don't want the mind working really hard to smooth it over. This is heart moment. All right. So for our community this week, with Juno going retrograde, she's asking us to look honestly at our commitments. So I'm going to ask you this, and you can share if you'd like, and I'd love to read your comments. Is there a relationship in your life, romantic, friendship, business, even that relationship with yourself as we go retrograde, where you've been half-heartedly honest? Half honest about those conversations. And what would full honesty look like for you? How would it feel for you if you were fully honest? Come share. It opens you wide up when you say things out loud. And then I will also include notes. I am giving away one free reading per week for the month of June. Immersive Spirit is going to be celebrate our third anniversary on June 7th, and we are going to be celebrating all month long. So look for that. Look for the link, please go register or enter to have your name drawn. Fridays, YouTube live, 3 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time. I'll be doing those drawings, and I'll reach out to you via email if you're a winner. So 4 opportunities to win this month, and hopefully I'm calling your name for a free chart reading. That's it for now. I'm Stephanie. This was your forecast for the week of June 1st, 2026 from Immersive Spirit, and for Astrological Insights, I'm Stephanie. Until next week, stay grounded and keep looking up. We'll see you again soon.